What's going on, y'all? It's Jason Reviews here, back at it again. Tired as hell, but I'm back at it again with another video, bringing you guys the Smack Volume 10 recap. As you can see, change of scenery. I'm in Orlando. I've been in Orlando. So many events to cover, so many recaps. Expect to now till Wednesday, recaps. That's all y'all got coming for about the next 3 or 4 days. But this is my recap of Smack Volume 10, top 3 most impressive as well as top 3 most disappointing performances. My usual recap format to give you guys, what the best was, what the worst was, the key takeaways. And we will be going into the first half of it that we're starting with will be top 3 most disappointing. But before we get into that, we're going to go over a couple battles just real quick that neither of the performers are going to make either list, but they're still battles to be cover. They were on the card. So first we're going to get into that, and then we will move right into the top 3 most disappointing, and then finishing off with the top 3, in my opinion, most impressive performers of the night. So first battle I want to go over, Souffleur Soul versus Foots. Definitely a dope one, a goodie. One of the better just back and forth battles of the card, and tightly contested all the way through. I think one of the big separators for people is Soul stumbling through his material. And while I have a lot of praise for both these gentlemen, I think they showed out. Got to tell them both that. I would say, though, that if a lot of people, and I think the fan vote sways because of Soul's little bit of turbulence, no flat-out chokes. At one point, maybe one hard stumble, but for the most part, it's just little stumbles that after a while, it just sounds glitchy in a way. But both of them, we talk about Soul. As I said, he's more polished, and I believe he was able to land a few more haymakers. You look at the Jimmy Dean bar in the second. You look at the rehearsing bar in the first, the Patrick Star bar in the first. He's quickly getting to the haymakers, probably a couple more per round, but Foots is pure rapping. Reminds me very much so of Ace on Me, and shout out to my guy Lion Legacy. He gave me that little bit of that comparison there, just in terms of the way that they kind of maneuver around and how quickly they get through their multis. Definitely see that. I'm not going to call it influence, but can see that similarity. And he really showcases that 1 to 3. He's more clean. And in a way, even though I liked the peaks of Soul a little bit more, Foots was definitely looked like the more polished battler. First round I had as debatable. I edged it 1-0 to Soul, but with a little bit of choppiness, I can completely understand if it goes either way. The second, which some people call me crazy, I kind of clearly gave Soul the second. On the rewatch, that could definitely change, but the bench warrant bar, the Jimmy Dean bar, the Bell's palsy, I just thought once he got his rhythm, he was just hitting too many in a row. Really liked Foots' second, though, especially lines on the EKG, double dutching. I just think that's creative wordplay. I hadn't heard that. And then in the third, I did edge Foots the third. And really, that one bar I have to talk about from his third, smashing his head like a wet dream. Crazy. Probably my bar of the battle. So me personally, I ended up edging it to Soul 2-1. Edged him the first round. I gave him the second. But Foots did win the fan vote. While he didn't make the top 3 most impressive, I thought he was impressive on this card. And although I didn't have him winning, I cannot wait to see what he keeps doing from here. I believe both of them have high ceilings as talent, and definitely were a decent opener of the card. And that gets us into one of our first surprise battles, Jerry West versus Chaos. I believe booked in place of Loso and T-Top due to Loso having the ACL surgery, which, we get mad when things get moving around, guys. What the fuck do you want to do? You want Loso up there in a boot rapping? Doesn't make sense. So we ended up getting this, and I believe it was on 11 days prep, they said, and I think it shows a little bit. Not that either of them were horrible, but you can clearly see they're a little limited in the content that they could give. And I actually had Jerry pretty clearly winning this battle. Kid Chaos is a pen-like battler, so we'll see. I'm seeing people say Chaos second and third a little bit. Me personally, though, I edged Jerry the first round. Neither of them were too crazy. I thought that Chaos had a couple more dry spots and ended up hurting him in the long run. Jerry clearly got the second round, in my opinion. I didn't really see much of the debate that's going on there. Once again, maybe on the playback I'll feel different. The spit out kid, like a thought bitch, and some girl made like a sound effect to it, which you all know Jerry crowd participation, kind of prop-like ideals always have been a big part of his performance. And as for the third, that is the debatable round. Personally, I edged it to Jerry West, but I can definitely out of all the rounds see the argument for Chaos in the third. The Jerry Hellabar, the subject change, he finally got into his real pace, and you saw him get a little bit more comfortable and cook to close the third. So debatable battle overall. Shout out to both of them prepping up on short time. Definitely not easy. I don't want to give them either of them too much shit, you know what I'm saying, when you're put in a situation like this. But shout out Jerry, definitely more punches in his style, more definitive punches, and that's what's going to land you more points. Kind of was an issue for him, but I do have him winning this battle. So we will get into the top three most disappointing performers of the night first. And at number three, someone that is going to make this list kind of just because of like the amount of battles that, I didn't want to throw on either Jerry or Chaos, low prep. And while number three didn't have like a bad performance, I did have to put Calico at number three. I did have him winning this battle. And there's portions I liked. I liked his first. There is parts of his third that I liked. Or actually in reverse. I thought his third might have been the best round of the battle for him. But there was also parts of his first I liked. I thought that's where the battle peaked in terms of competitiveness. And he gave a pretty solid performance. The one thing is, though, is that this battle had weird energy around it all the way around. I don't think Calico is the main one to blame for this. But in terms of actually what he did writing-wise, I thought that he sat on the clip stat angle a lot. That's something that we kind of expected going in. But between that, he brought that back all three different rounds. And then in his second, there was just some dry spots for me, which is, as my boy Emling would say, shout out Emling, some anecdotal moments where he's just speaking on himself, and it can just get very indirect when you hold it for that long. I believe that the second, for me, was one of the biggest showcases of that. But definitely not a bad performance. I know putting him on most disappointing might think that he had, terrible, or I have a lot of slander. It really isn't like that. But when you're the main event of a 10-year grudge match, it turns out like this, and I don't really think Cal stole the show. I thought he was decent, but this is a battle. I was hoping for a little bit more than a decent performance. So that's why I had to put Cal at number three here. And as for number two and number one, who I really believe had disappointing performances, at number two, I have the counterpart of that battle, Charlie Clips. And it's tough, man, because the first round, I think, is a very debatable peak of the battle, back and forth, very good first rounds. Both had haymakers, fluid rapping, taking different approaches. Cal ended up taking the father approach, but he didn't, you know what I'm saying? He went a little bit everywhere with it. And Cal's always known for having good first rounds. And as for Clips, I thought that was the most put together round that seemed the most prepped and really an attack-based round. But from there, the second is a fully freestyling round. I actually gave him the second. I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, the way I called it is I edged Cal the first. I gave Cal the third clear, and I gave Clips the second. And even though, obviously, it's freestyling, it's not directly at Cal most of the time. Cal's second, I think, is a little bit of a step down from his other two rounds. And there was some material there that was directed at Cal, but from that second and third, you can clearly tell there's freestyling, stuff that probably got written recently, just not the great, you know what I'm saying? It's just not, it wasn't a very put-together Clips performance. We know what bullshit Clips looks like, and this was closer to bullshit Clips than locked-in Clips, in my personal opinion. Even the third round, where he's breaking down the Calico in parts, we've heard the angle of let's break the gun down in parts a lot of times. Not necessarily versus Cal, but I have heard people, breaking down the different parts of a firearm, fire pen, we've heard it. But you can kind of debate Clips won this battle. I'm not really that mad at Clips 1 and 2, just a weird battle overall. But due to the lack of seriousness, I had to put him in. And at number one, even though it was a sub-in battle, a light work battle with that, I have to put Arsenal. The spaghetti, suck my dick, bitch. You can meatballs. It's spaghetti night. I don't really think I have to say much more about why I have Arsenal at one, just by quoting that. And then especially the second and the third choke, I believe he pulled his phone out too. That could come down to prep. I don't know. They got subbed in, so it's kind of tough, but we all know that was a pretty abysmal performance by Ars. Sadly, he would have to go at number one on the most disappointing performers of the night. And now that that is out of the way, we can get to the much more positive top three most impressive performers of the night. And at number three, for the top three most impressive performers of the night, I do have Averb. Easily Suge and Averb was battle of the night. I don't really think that was even a question. And Verb ended up having a very good performance. I predicted going in that I thought this battle would be close. I did have Suge 2-1 edge going in. Might have played out how I called it. But I knew that volume setting and Verb kind of on a little bit of a down streak this year. Usually when he gets another, top tier level opponent and he needs the win, people are down on him, he could come into a small room setting like this and really show people what Verb is still made of. Obviously the pure rapping and rhyme pockets is what really hits home here. But funny enough, Verb's not really much of a punch. There's no more really creative one-liners or super entendres by Verb anymore. It's all pockets and real talk, which, at least if he's adding the real talk more and not relying just solely on pockets, I can definitely get behind that. My big thing with Verb is content of substance that goes at the opponent. And I think you see in the first and second round that I had him clearly taking the first round of this battle, which I think that round was more about the rhyming pockets. But as you get to the second, by far best back and forth of the night, contained in the round of the night, not from Verb, but in that round. And Verb had a very good second. I'm seeing some people debate the second for Verb. Maybe on the watch back, I'll think it's debatable. I think he made it close. I still comfortably gave Suge that second round. But Verb's second is still one of the better rounds of the whole event. And he gasses out a little bit in the third. He does a showtime, then ends up really not doing anything with it, like landing anything of substance. But when you have those first two rounds, especially where Verb's at, we were very, very happy to see that. Very competitive performance. And that's why even though I didn't have him winning the battle, which we'll get into in a second, I did think that he was very good and has to be, we have to give him his flowers for doing that, especially when some people had him, getting 30'd or murdered going in. And speaking of 30s and murders, as the number 2 performer of the night, we have KCJ. KCJ, man, this year has body bagged Averb. All right, she is now pretty much body bagged Arsenal. First round of this battle, somewhat debatable. You know what I'm saying? The people are Arch fans. They want to give it to him. Because of pockets and things of that nature, but the second and the third of this battle are washes. Even without the chokes, I think KCJ was well on her way to winning this battle clear. Specifically in the second round, she has the hammer to get Arsenal. I thought that was dope. The Arsenate wordplay and Ars chokes and has terrible material, so that really isn't, that's not moved me very much. But the third round here is really where I was super duper duper impressed with Casey. Specifically the bus bars that she did. We've heard a lot of like Ars bus driver bars, but something about you were with Suge, the shooter, and the bus driver. Light it up. Now it's a flying bus like Fortnite. Haymaker. Big Jersey, Antonio Brown. Just a bunch of different bars. Really one of the better rounds of Casey I've heard in general. Kind of crazy that happened in a light work setting. And then Ars obviously chokes in the third. But shout out to Casey, man. Had a goodie with official, although I did have her losing, her being injured, hurt her performance. But I thought she was good on Chrome 23. She had an amazing performance. I don't think it's talked about enough because of Verb, the I am a grinder situation. But her material for Verb was very, very good. And now she comes over here and she beats Arsenal on volume. So shout out to KCJ, really rounding out a very good year right now. That's why I have her at number 2. And as for the number 1 best performer of the night, I have Shotgun Suge. Second round of the night, standing on top of Verb like conjunction junction. Incredible. So I had him winning the second, and then I had him clearly winning the third round and being the performer of the night. That second round is possibly one of the best rounds of Suge's career. Very impressive ending, assuming this is his last battle, ending campaign to 2022. We'll see how the judging goes out tomorrow, but I did have him winning the battle, and I was very, very impressed with Shotgun Suge. And that is my recap of the top 3 most disappointing and most impressive performers on Volume 10. Overall, as a card, might have been a 5, 6 out of 10 card. Definitely, it does a little bit mid, a little bit okay. And battles getting moved around hurts that. Nitty and Fonz should be going down today, so hopefully I will be watching that. But obviously, that was humongous. Probably the biggest selling piece, I believe, of Volume 10. And then Loso and T-Top was just contested top-tier action. So for that to get moved in favor of 2 battles where the prep is lower, one's a light work battle, it's, they had to give swapping content. I'm not mad at URL. They did what they could do with the best of their capabilities, given the situation they were put in, but it still leads the event just being a little overall. Once again, shout out to Suge and Verb, easily had battle of the night. I didn't get to fully flesh out I'm going a little quick here, so bar for bar wise, probably didn't flesh out just how impressed I was with either of them, especially Shotgun Suge. But there might be even a bar for bar breakdown coming down for that. The judging should be going in today to see who won the 10 racks on the floor for that battle. But overall, outside of that, the rest of it had some decent work. And we're just going to see what goes down today for Civil War 3. Ladies Volume was a very, very good event. I will have that recap coming out soon in the next couple days, as well as recapping the Philly card. And that's what I'll say on that. But dope stuff. Also, I was able to recap the ladies volume through article. I am a part of Let's Talk Battle Rap now. So for those of you that want to see my thoughts on ladies volume before the video comes out, go over to letstalkbattlerap.com. Our article recap that me and France did is up there for the event, as well as the volume article should be up soon. So all types of content to come to your guys' way to cover this full jam-packed weekend of battle rap. And you guys let me know in the comments down below, who was the most impressive performer to you? I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of, Suge and Verb is going to be the talk of that. But is there anyone else that you thought was extremely impressive? Do you think any of my takes were wrong? Was I a little too hard on Caller clips? Let me know down below in the comments, guys. But it's been J Smo Reviews again, y'all, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace.